Okay, so now we're assuming that we can factorize p. So let me erase this, okay? So we got to this, and then we're assuming we can factorize p as is there a 2x at the front? Yeah, let me just write down the stuff I can actually read. So this p has a something at the front, like a 2. And then this like x squared plus 64. Okay, 64 makes sense, I guess, because that's 8 squared plus b squared. Okay. Oh, so that's the top thing, right? Plus 16. So maybe I need to write this more over here. So it actually tells you what it is in the question, but so there's 2 brackets, okay? So p equals the product of 2 things. Okay, and looks like to be sort of a difference of 2 squares kind of thing. Okay. So x squared plus 64 plus b squared plus 16 root 64 plus b squared, and here's x squared plus 64 plus b squared minus 16 root 64 plus b squared. Okay. And it says 2 something. It shouldn't be an x, because this will give you an x to the 4, or maybe it is an x. So when this x times by this x squared, it'll give you an x to the 5. Okay, so here the biggest is x to the 4, so this might be an x over here. Okay. Keep going. What's this question say? So this is where the first one asks you, Saga sails parallel with 15 k's from the coast, so b equals 15. Show that the brightness increases to a maximum when x equals 0, then decreases. Okay. So yeah, now it's really important there's an x here, right? See, because you can see if di dx equals 0 at x equals 0, right? Because something is 0 if only the numerator. If a fraction is 0, this is basically the same as saying the numerator is 0. Okay. So the numerator is 0. Basically, if p is 0, because p is the numerator is 2 times p. Okay. But p is a factor of 3 things, so p is 0 basically if one of these factors is 0. Okay? And x equals 0 if we assume that that's one of the factors. It'll make it 0. Actually, we're going to even quickly check that, okay? Because you could actually just put x equals 0 and see if it actually gives you 0, if you weren't too sure. So, for example, yeah, see what happens is that if you put x equals 0, right? This term is the same as this term because 8 squared and minus 8 squared are the same, and x is obviously 0, and it'll become plus 8 minus 8. So this will cancel with that, so the whole thing is 0. So there is in fact a factor of x. Okay? So that shows that at x equals 0, the derivative is 0. Okay? So it's a turning point, possibly. So what happens if x is slightly less than 0? Well, can you see everything here is positive, no matter what? Okay. And here, it's not obviously positive no matter what. But if you look at it a little bit, maybe it is. So 16, 64. I guess it's got the same sign whether x is positive or negative. So close to 0. Close to 0. Okay, so we might have to actually use b equals 15. So we have sort of 64 plus 15 squared minus 16 times the square root of 64 plus 15 squared. 15 squared is 225. 225 plus 64 is 289. 289 is a square number. That's convenient. So it's 17 squared. So you get basically 17 squared minus 16 times 17. Okay. So that's a positive number. And it's off by 17. It's equal to plus 17. And so x is going to be close to 0. It's not going to affect that, okay? So that's going to be positive. This is going to be positive. And so the sign of the derivative is going to be not the sign of x, but negative the sign of x, okay? Because it's a negative 2 times p. So basically, so the derivative is negative when x is positive, okay? So a little bit positive, and positive when x is a little bit negative, okay? So what does that mean? Well, if x is a little bit negative and it's positive, it's doing that, okay? It's 0 at x equals 0, and then it's going negative when x is positive. So that's exactly what it means to be increasing, okay? Positive is increasing. Increases to a maximum because it stops increasing and starts decreasing at x equals 0, okay? So that's part 2 of the problem. So you must get 1 point for putting b equals 15 in this here. Okay, so you didn't know if b was 15. It might not work, I guess. Oh, yeah. So because if b was say like 0, this would be 64 minus 8 times 16, which is negative. Okay, so it's not going to be the same conclusion for all b. You need to use that. That's probably worth 1 point. And then making the right, statements, that's probably worth 1 other point. Okay, let's do part 3 in a separate video.